Hello, thank you, Algolia, for hosting this event. We'll talk about immersive experience and mainly about best practices and guidelines. You will see there will be some repetition from what the others said, Maurice and Alexi, but it will be nice. Don't worry. If we trace a line between virtual reality and real reality, the real one where we live, there is amplified reality. We don't know what is it, but it's a kind of reality with additional element. Augmented reality, we know this one. Mediated reality, augmented virtuality, virtualized reality, and virtual reality. And somewhere here, there is something called mixed reality, mainly hosted by HoloLens, actually, currently. If we do some kind of definition, because this is there is too many elements, virtual reality, it's immersive experience, fully immersive. 100% of what you see is artificial. It can be very realistic, it can be from a picture or 360 videos, or it can be computer generated, but it's 100% virtual. You don't see real world through the screen. Augmented reality, you still see the real world, maybe through screen, maybe because the screen is transparent, maybe because there is a camera displaying the reality. And on top of this, you can see some digital content or virtual content. And mixed reality, it's almost like augmented reality, but there is more coherence between what you see in the virtual world and the real world. Virtual object can sit on physical object. The headset is aware of where you are, what you are doing, and if there is some real physical element, it will try to put element on it. Maybe later we can show you some video about it. A small quiz to see if you listen everything that has been said before. What is this? Augmented reality? I will say mixed reality, but currently it's sci-fi because it doesn't exist. Currently, there is no way for a lot of people to see the same hologram and to be able to turn around and see it from each side and each position without specific device on your face. There is some prototype projecting on some gas or some water, but it's not as good as this. So sci-fi, but we are coming to this. What is this? It's reality, but not really augmented. It's just displaying the real world, but the Pokemon is not on the real world. Because you can even disable the augmented reality, it still works. It doesn't use the camera for tracking, just use the GPS. Yeah. The Pokemon will move. Yeah. In the general, yes. So it doesn't use the real world information. A bit of the sensor, the gyroscope or accelerometer, just to mimic some real behavior, but it's not even augmented reality. It's marketing augmented reality. This has been difficult for them. It's just stereoscopy, just displaying two pictures, one for each eyes, and this will mimic some relief, some depth and 3D element, but there is no interaction, there is no movement, so it's not real virtual reality. This, Google Glass. In which category will you augmented? It's augmented. It's not the augmented reality that we dreamed of when it launched. We believe, we will have a big glass and we'll see a lot of virtual elements in the real world. In fact, it's just a small head-mounted device or head-up display, small display in the field of view, displaying some information, but not related to what you are looking at really. So we'll say it's still in augmented reality or head-up display. So the one of Alexis, the Virtual Boy from Nintendo, virtual reality or stereoscopy, because you can't move. In fact, you put the screen in front of you, you put your head here, and you don't move. So there is a missing part of the reality, even if it's virtual. It's the movement and the motion. This, I will tell you, it's virtual reality on mobile, and then I hope we'll not get as fat as them, but it's very fun. and it's a mass market product. You can buy this in any shop. And this, still virtual reality. And there is something interesting. You can interact with the object. There is some sensor, external sensor, and you can move your head, you can walk, you can use your Wiimote or your accessories to interact. All the movement of the wrist are taken in consideration, so you can really grab and have a real feeling. When we have this demo in our offices, sometimes there is a virtual object falling down. You have to flex your knees to get it, and sometimes people want to put their hand on the virtual desk, to grab it, and they fall down because there is no virtual desk. But because it's even if it's in a cartoonish design, the object feels real because the desk is here. I can move and still feel it's part of the reality. It doesn't move. In fact, it moves accordingly to my movement. So virtual reality. And this one, let's say it's a bit like Google Glass, but for industrial purpose. It's a small half-transparent screen with a camera. It can detect what you are doing. So it's a head-up display for augmented reality in industrial sector. Here, you can move, detect you are moving, and tell you, oh, turn left, turn right, get the product. You can detect if there is a barcode and some information. Okay. Some QR code everywhere, so it detects what you are doing and how you are doing it. Okay, and this one, last one, I think. On your phone, you see the real world, and on top of the real world, you see digital content. It's augmented reality. And the last one, mixed reality with HoloLens, where you can put real virtual object on top of the real object and physical object, and everything stick to the real world. So some kind of world anchor, so the objects stick to this place. I will go fast on the devices because, okay, some animation problem, because Maurice covers them with Alexi. On the mobile, Cardboard, Samsung Gear, Mattel tried to do something with Apple, Google Daydream. On desktop, Oculus, HTC Vive, PSVR, and Intel Alloy, so the Inside Out, I will talk about it a bit later. Very nice, and a lot of manufacturers are going to this. So it's a real market. As you say, it's a year one, maybe year zero, because it's starting, but everyone sees there is a market for this and want to go there. So there will be a lot of investment and a lot of product coming on. So what we can do with VR on mobile, not a lot of motion. You can't detect motion. The only motion is the head tracking. You turn your head, but you can't move, do some translation. And the tracking, not so much. You can buy some specific hardware that will detect your hand, but not very efficient and a lot of prototype. But you can do so. Head tracking, even the direction is looking at the south, the north, so we can know what is doing. Localization, so GPS, gaze and click. Gaze, it's where you look at, and you can click maybe using a hardware button, maybe because you do a long gaze somewhere and it's loading and detecting this. So for the motion, you can do the teleport. You point to a place, you click, and you go there, virtually there. For the motion, Google Tango, it's an initiative from Google to add some infrared camera inside the phone, so it can detect the shape of the real world, and it will detect that you are moving your phone. So if it's on your face, it's detecting that you are moving. So, but still prototype. Lenovo has launched a product called Lenovo Fab Pro, I think, using Google Tango. Nobody heard about it, but it's a product. So VR on desktop and console. I will go very fast on it because there is too many elements. You can do head tracking, the motion. The scale is room scale, or sometimes it's just standing or sofa scale. You don't move a lot. Gaze and click, yes. You can detect gesture. Usually you have controller like Wiimote with a lot of buttons. I like the HTC Vive controller because you can grip the controller. You can swipe something here. You have a trigger and you can turn around. Finger tracking, usually using an add-on called Leap Motion. You can, using infrared, detect your hand without any gloves or something like this. It will detect the shape of your hand and you can almost grab the object. this leads to the manipulation. You can either grab a virtual object, it's a direct manipulation. You already touch, you feel like you're touching the virtual object, or it's indirect. Sometimes with Vive, you do this. You point the, let's call it a Wiimote, the controller toward an object, and you click to say, okay, I will grab it and move it. But the object is almost 1 meter far from you. There's two kinds of interaction. Direct, you touch the object, or you point at it and you move it. Two kinds of interaction. The both are very useful and interesting. You have to decide when to use it. Here it's a sample of direct manipulation with a lip motion on the Oculus, so small camera in front, and this guy is grabbing object, creating object, and pushing them. Oh, he's crazy, maybe, we don't know. We'll see the screen. So the screen is repeating exactly what he's seeing. So by doing this, he's creating object, and he can move them, and we have all these fingers detected. So it's very natural and very interesting to use. Bye. Now let's talk about augmented reality, or HUD, heads-up display. Your phone is augmented reality compatible. Every phone can do augmented reality, phone, tablet. Google Glass, Optinvent is an industrial manufacturer with Epson doing some kind of augmented glasses. So with a small piece of screen in the field of view. ODG and Dacry are some kind of helmet or big glasses for more immersive experience. This is a real helmet. You can use it on a worker place or a very robust headset, so you don't get hurt if you are in a manufacturing environment. You can benefit from augmented reality. So what we can do with augmented reality is very difficult to detect the motion. Usually you have some kind of tracker to know where you are looking at, and it will detect this. It's not immersive. You still see the real world, but sometime at some place you will see some virtual element. Head tracking is not available yet. Head rotation, yes. Direction, yes. Localization, click, and stuff like this, and marker or markerless detection. We'll talk about the marker a bit later. Mixed reality, HoloLens, Meta, and there is something called Magic Leap. No one has seen it. There is some information that is not ready yet for the market and far from being ready. It's HoloLens is autonomous device. You don't plug it to a computer like the Meta or the Vive. It's 100%. It's a mini computer on your head. There is some camera, and it will detect the real world. So it's inside-out tracking. It's camera inside to detect the real world, so you know where you are moving and how you are moving. Compared to the HTC Vive, it's external tracking. You have external camera that look at you. Yeah, it's the opposite. And Meta has almost the same thing, but it's not ready yet. HoloLens, you can buy it, $300. 2,000. Sorry. I missed a zero. Between 3,000 and 5,000, in fact. What we can do with this immersion? No, because you still see the real world. It's not a big deal. Direct manipulation is a bit limited. Usually for HoloLens, you look at an object with your gaze, and you just do this to pretend you click on it. So it's more over and click, like on the web. You move your cursor with your head, and you click to activate, but you don't grab a virtual object. Not yet available, at least. Inside-out tracking, I said, and a simple gesture. A few minutes, yes, that's great. How you develop application? You need 3D content editing or producing. So a lot of software help you to create content, just part of them. You need something to run your code or to create code. Most of the virtual experience are code. You need some code to detect the interaction, to create some kind of behavior in the virtual reality. If we compare this to the web or mobile development, there is some designer that do the icon and the button and the skin of the application, and there is some developer doing the interaction behind the scene. So Unity, Unreal, I put Babylon, but it's more all the web application. So A-Frame also. To answer, it's more prototype because there is not a lot of feature on A-Frame to create a huge experience. at the moment, Babylon.js, WebGL, WebVR, and so on. And you need some platform to publish your application. So if it's on the web, it's okay. It's very easy, but you need to benefit from some app store. So you will gather a big gallery of a lot of application and make it available to the user. Oculus, Vive, and Microsoft Store for the HoloLens. Yes? Steam, yes. Yes, when I say Vive, it's Steam, which is compatible with Vive and Oculus. 3D modeling, 3D design, it's a real job. It's not like, oh, I do some code, I will use Unity, and I will do a 3D world. No, 3D is a real work. It's a real work. But you can download some mesh on Sketchfab, on the Unity Asset Store, on Autodesk and other platform. Some meshes, 3D objects are free. Some other you need to spend some money to get them. But it's really your job. If you want to create a real 3D experience, you need some 3D skills. AR with marker or without marker. The first image, yes, you need some marker. This is a kind of a paper with some strange design. It's kind of a flash code or QR code, and the phone will try to detect it and put some 3D object on top of it. And some other, like the last one, it should be animated. Yes. The woman juggling is a fake woman. It's a 3D object, and the marker is part of the real world. It's a real painting on the back, and the painting is used as a marker. And you can also use maybe the floor as a marker, because there is some stain here and some specific pattern on the floor. You can say, oh, when you detect this pattern, this image, put a virtual object on top of it. So if you use a real object, it's not really a marker, it's a real world detection. This has been done by Augment, and there is a lot of framework to help you to do some augmented reality. Vuforia, Augment, Wikitude, and Blipar, including this one, can help you add some augmented reality element in your application. You want to do some cross-platform, an application that work on a Vive, Unity, Unreal, and so on. It's a big difficult, but OSVR, it's an open source platform that want to be compatible with all devices and accessories. So even if it's not virtual reality, you can use a Kinect or a Leap Motion for interaction. So OSVR is trying to be very wide and a lot of compatibility, even with the rendering engine, Unreal and Unity, Crytek, and even web. So it was a shot to try it, but very complex because it tries to be compatible with everything. So sometimes it's you have to make some choice. OpenVR, supported by Valve, also open source and compatible with Oculus, Vive, and if the future device want to be compatible with OpenVR, it will work. Handling the rendering and all the controller interaction. And SteamVR, so Steam, the gaming platform, it's including OpenVR, and the chaperone is try to detect the limit of the real world, so you don't hurt yourself going too far in your home. So it's called the chaperone. The tracking, instant tracking, and integration to Steam. Interaction. You have to choose between direct or indirect manipulation. Can you touch the virtual object? Do you want your user to touch the virtual object? You have to handle maybe gaming controller, Xbox controller, or so on. Do I need keyboard or mouse to interact? Maybe you can use vocal interaction. All devices have voice interaction, but we rarely use them. Do I want immersive 360 experience or just maybe big panoramical experience? If I'm sitting on my sofa, I don't want to turn around. So you have to choose about immersive or virtual panoramical experience. The field of view is generally limited. So don't obstruct it with a lot of menu and element. Find a way to put the menu and the element somewhere. Maybe floating on the side, maybe following the user. Maybe like real life, you put an object here and you remember it's here. So maybe you can put the virtual menu somewhere and the user just have to look at it. Maybe you can take it and move it here, but he will remember where he put it. A companion or a virtual object. Do I need some button? Real buttons that I have to press them, or abstract button, just I look at them and they blink. The slider, input text, pop-up, why? web page, why? So don't try to do this. Almost finished, don't worry. Stabilization plan. The eyes has some problem. If you look at something far, you want all the elements to be far. So if there is a menu floating and I have to accommodate to change my vision between far and close plan, it's not very good. It's doing a lot of eye strain. So the best is to put the element the closest to the virtual object. So I have to push the object far or closer between, dependent of what there is on the scene. You have to handle where the user is looking at, so you don't obstruct it. Distance accommodation. If there is nothing to put the menu on top, just put something at 2 meters. It's nice. And handle the focus. Last one, very good. So motion sickness. It's this. The motion sickness is when you are looking at this. Why it's painful? It's because you don't control the movement. If your eyes are seeing something and your vestibular system, the inner ear, are not feeling the same thing, you get sick. Or if you don't control it. A gamer, when he's playing to Counter-Strike, he's not sick because his brain has been wired a specific way. Oh, when I push this button, I know there will be an acceleration in this direction, so I don't feel sick. You have to do this also in VR. Let the user in control of the movement. Don't have a free camera moving like this without the user consent. So no unexpected movement. Room scale experience doesn't have this problem unless it's a big spaceship flying around or a car, but don't try to do this. Don't trigger movement without a consent. Reduce the field of view can also help reducing the motion sickness, and use teleport or constant speed instead of acceleration. Summary and takeaway. Can you be a 3D designer and a motion designer and a game designer and a coder? Not sure, so find some friends to do it with you. Choose your platform because there will be some dependency. In the interaction, all the devices that have the same interaction possibility, so choose your platform or do some kind of virtual responsive application. You can do it, but it's more work. Define your interaction. Don't forget to position the object in 3D. It's almost virtual reality, it's almost reality. So I can put a menu here, another here. Try to use the 3D world as a support for your 3D element. Prevent motion sickness if you can, and test and learn. Test, try, learn, test again, and go on. Thank you very much.